Yeah, fine. Recording.
Uh, did you mean me, Kashish? I guess there's also one Kashish.
Yeah, so you can start with
Okay, sure.
that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kashish, and I live in Kolkata. And I have done my graduation in economics. And I'm happy to be here now. So,
So you can start, start with the policy Manthan topic and start telling your speech and
all right. Okay. India is a country with more than 1 billion people, and just one third of them can read. The rapidly growing size of the population, shortage of teachers, books, and basic facilities, insufficient public funds to cover education costs are some of the nation's toughest challenges. I, as a student, I expect proper allocation of resources to institutes and the creation of a conducive atmosphere for external companies to invest in the nation, along with promoting startups in a bid to prevent human capital flight. As someone who wants to stay back in the country, I'd also like my competent peers to stay back as well, reverse the brain drain, and contribute to India's growth history. With rapid change and uncertainty, I'd like to expect the government to make changes in the current education policy. Although I like the new education policy, I want it to be more practical. I feel that there should be more merit based opportunities for all education and job seekers. There should be expansion of Startup India scheme with focus on startups in ideation stage. There's a major difference in the quality of education being provided in the rural and urban areas of the country. Steps must be taken to standardize the quality of education across India so that everyone can get equal and unbiased knowledge and opportunities to grow. There are government schools and educational institutions that which are affordable, but they lack in terms of infrastructure and quality. On the other hand, we have public institutes which have great infrastructure and equipment to study, but they demand a very high fees. I feel this disparity must be worked upon, and the government must make education more affordable and accessible for all. I'd also like to one more point that I'd also want education for disabled communities. I mean, easier access to disability certificates for persons with hidden disabilities so that the education is more accessible to them. That's it from my side. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you, Kashish. You can like Arshia can continue with her thing.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing all right. So, I will start with my speech now. In India today, over 40% of the Indian population is less than 25 years of age. Thereby, education, skill development, and employment assume priority during this year's electoral campaigns. I would also like to highlight the importance of a competitive environment in elections, which is made possible by virtue of presence of strong opposition parties. Opposition plays a very vital role in strengthening democracy. It analyzes the goals and manifestos of the party in power and tries to outperform it. This continuous trend, though might sometimes may resemble a never-ending game of cat and mouse, however, it ultimately benefits the common man in terms of both qualitative and quantitative aspects of well-being. Overall, education is a significant electoral issue because it is closely linked to an individual's aspirations, socio-economic development of a country, and the future of the nation. Today, I will be talking about the manifestos of the major political parties in power as well as the opposition party and their respective take on education. This also includes some suggestions from me afterwards in the to the visible lacunas in the system. Redefining higher education is a common plank advocated by both of them. While BJP's manifestos talk about a future-ready education, Congress's manifesto talk about education as a public good. It focuses largely on making education more affordable and accessible while ensuring quality as well. While BJP's manifesto stresses leveraging technology, it somehow, I believe, it neglects the possibility of a digital divide. Congress's manifesto, on the other hand, recognizes the importance of online courses and digital learning. It even promises free gadgets to students in classes 10th to 12th, aiming to bridge the digital divide. However, it is a party which I believe is a critique to the provisions of NEP 2020. I am not sure about the reasons behind it, but it has been a critique to the policy. Despite having such promising policies and manifestos, we still have a grim state of unemployment in India. According to International Labour Organization in India, its employment report 2024, I believe it was around 80% of India's unemployed workforce comprising of its youth. The jobless rate for graduates stand at 29%. I think over the past 2 decades, a lot of initiatives like NEP, digital initiatives in education like Digital India campaigns, National Digital Learning Mission have been there, but qualitative and quantitative, as well as disaggregated data availability regarding their implementation on the ground remains a challenge, which I believe needs to be addressed to address the relevant needs of developed India by 2047. India's expenditure in education also stays a mere 33%, only 3%, which is even lesser than Bangladesh and Rwanda. This needs to be substantiated. The discussion must also be extended to aspects of research, innovation, and funding. With a large working age population, this year's election will have a far reaching ramification. Investment in education, skill development, and employment, the coverage of employment gap is something that I believe needs to be addressed after the elections by the party, whichever party comes to power. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Arshia. It was a well researched, I think, and you did bring out the points for different parties as well. So, and at the end of it, you gave your recommendations. So that was something good and refreshing to look. Who would like to go next?
Ma'am, Namrata shared the list, so accordingly, I'll go next then. She's shared it in the chat box for everyone.
Okay, sure. Yeah, Sanjana, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the session. And I have chosen a very narrowed down topic like regarding education in Lok Sabha. So basically, since at least if from the perspective of the ruling government, if we see that they are claiming that the फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार, so like they want to get re-elected. So from the perspective of education, we must see that if this government is worthy, one should analyze that worthy enough being re-elected or not. So before analyzing the 2024 manifesto and its focus on education, I would like to just give some highlights from the 2019 manifesto of the same party, Bharatiya Janata Party, and how much progress it has made or made it into reality. So like they had claimed in the 2019 manifesto that access and equity has been achieved, but by analysts and reports say that it is something which is questionable, as still the access to education is very unequal. And they had talked about teacher training and capacity building, which has to be done. And an initiative called the PM Innovative Learning Program, they had claimed for nurturing talented children, and that is something which they have implemented actually, and it is functional. Like I went through the website as well, and it provides scope to promising students of the country. And apart from that, they had focused on introducing technology in classrooms and building new Kendra Vidyalayas and Navodaya Vidyalayas. But regarding that, they have actually achieved it. Like they have introduced new aims, IIMs, and as they promised to introduce new KVs and Navodaya Vidyalayas by 2024, they have actually approved and launched those as well. And they had talked about increasing seats for central law, engineering, science, and management institutions. However, recent data shows that the engineering seats have taken a 10-year low, all-time 10-year low. So that is something which has to be looked into. And another initiative they had talked about was the Study in India program to encourage students from abroad to come to India to study. So that is also an initiative which they had talked about, and actually it has been promoted and started. So again, while researching, I went to the website, so it has robust details about different courses and rankings of the institutions and what opportunities, scholarships that students from abroad can have to study in India. So I think that is like regarding education, a lot of claims which the government had made has been made successful. But coming to 2024, the current election manifesto and agenda, I must say that there has been a decline in the importance given to education. I feel like if you see the entire manifesto, the rank or the order of the topics covered, it's like education had a higher position in the 2019 one, which has gone down at least in the list wise in the 2024 one. And it does not have any strong commitments or initiatives as such. Like they talk about again teacher training and technology, like repeating the previous manifesto ideas. So like perhaps one can say that may not have achieved it sufficiently, so they claim to work on it again. And they talk about mother tongue education, strengthening the new institutions, again talk about technology access to education, and promoting high quality education. So there are strong and very strong quantitative commitments made by the manifesto this time. And if one compares from what one has done before and to present, it is kind of underwhelming and it is towards a decline, I feel. But coming to the question that should this government be re-elected or not, like considering the promises they had made before and how much they've achieved, they can be given a chance again. But again, there are some issues which come up which are beyond the manifesto, like changing of textbook curriculums and introducing religious texts in the secular education curriculum. So these things are something problematic. So one should look at those aspects as well regarding education before re-electing them. So like this is what I feel, and conclude that it should be open to all to judge themselves by understanding the comparatively how the present government works and should they be re-elected or not. And so that's all from my end, I would like to say.
Thanks, Sanjana. Next, we have, as per the order, Anushka, right? Do we have her?
Anushka Sharma.
Yeah. And you're on mute if you're speaking. We can't hear you. No, we can't hear you. Okay, while you figure out, shall we go with the Soumya?
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Um, as India gears up for the 2024 general elections, it's crucial to spotlight one of the nation's most pressing issues, the state of its educational system. While strides have been made in expanding access to education, significant challenges remain, particularly concerning the outdated curriculum and the need for robust vocational training. The current curriculum, rooted in traditional methods of rote learning and memorization, fails to equip students with skills required for success in the modern world. Critical thinking problem solving, and digital literacy are increasingly essential in today's rapidly evolving job market. To address this, a fundamental overhaul of the curriculum is imperative, shifting towards experimental learning and a focus on practical skills that are relevant to the demands of the 21st century. Moreover, vocational training remains an underutilized resource in India's educational landscape. While academic achievements are valued, many students lack the opportunities for hands-on learning and skill development. Integrating vocational training into mainstream education can provide students with the necessary expertise to excel in various industries. Education models such as Germany's dual education system, which combines classroom instruction with on-the-job like training, offers a promising blueprint for success. As the electorate evaluates candidates and parties in the upcoming elections, it's essential to prioritize education reform. Political leaders must commit to addressing the shortcomings of the current curriculum and investing in vocational training initiatives. By doing so, India can empower its youth with skills and knowledge needed to drive economic growth, innovation, prosperity in the coming years. In conclusion, transforming India's education system requires a concentrated effort to overcome the challenges posed by an outdated curriculum and strengthen vocational training. With visionary leadership and commitment to innovation, India can position itself as a global leader in education and ensure a brighter future for the generations to come. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Soumya. Anushka, if you're ready. Is she on the group? Okay. Rosie, if you're there, can you switch on your camera and start your speech?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to talk about the educational system in 2024's Lok Sabha election. So I believe that it's imperative to shed light on one of the most fundamental pillars of our society, that is education, like education forms the bedrock upon which our nation's future stands. So yet it's disheartening to see how this very foundation is crumbling under the weight of numerous issues that plague our educational system. So as a student pursuing my master's, I have witnessed the first-hand challenges that hindered our educational journey. So, the accessibility, which remains a significant concern. So, while there has been made to increase enrollment rates, disparities persist. Then, especially in the rural and marginalized community, many students lack access to quality education due to inadequate infrastructure, lack of proper transportation or financial constraints. So this glaring gap derives countless young minds of the opportunity to fill their potential. And secondly, the quality of education which leaves much to be desired, like rote learning still dominates classroom, then creativity, then critical thinking. So our curriculum often fails to evolve with the changing times, like leaving students ill-equipped to face the challenges of the modern world. So we need an education system that foster innovation, problem solving, and adaptability, preparing us for complexity for the 21st century. And thirdly, the issue of affordability casts that dark shadow over our educational landscape, like skyrocketing tuition fees which cost of the study material place higher education out of reach for many deserving students. So this financial burden not only deters aspiring learners but also persuades cycles of poverty and inequality. And lastly, I would like to talk about the dearth of the skilled educators, which one of the challenges, like underpaid and overworked teachers struggle to deliver quality education, open overcrowded classrooms and limited resources. So without proper support and training, they find themselves ill-equipped to nurture the talents and aspirations of their students. So now more than ever we need decisive actions to address this persisting issues. So investing in education is not merely an expenditure but an investment in our nature's future. So we must prioritize initiatives that promote equitable access, enhance the quality of learning, and elevate financial burdens. And additionally, empowering educators through training, adequate compensation, and professional development is also essential to foster an educational ecosystem. So, yeah, I would like to end my speech.
Okay. Thanks, Rosie. Anushka, want to go ahead?
Yeah, Anushka Singh, right?
And let Sharma go first. Yes.
Okay, got it.
I didn't know there were three Anushkas.
Anushka Sharma can start. Then Rahul.
I think there's problem with your microphone. Okay, Anushka Singh, you can start.
Okay, sure. So I guess we have discussed many aspects of education today, and it is also important. Like 2024 Lok Sabha elections are coming, and it is important to recognize and tackle these issues. Because ensuring every child receives a quality education is not just a policy objective. I feel like it is a fundamental right that can drive national progress and equity. For my speech, I have focused on three aspects. The first one is the dropout rate, especially among girls and marginalized communities. Because despite significant progress, many students still leave school before completing their education because there are many reasons for it, I feel. There's economic pressure, culture barriers, and inadequate school infrastructure. This leads to a cycle of poverty and limited opportunities, particularly affecting rural and undeserved urban areas. Additionally, another important factor is mental health issues of students, which is a growing concern, especially after COVID, because the pressure of performance and lack of counseling and support service in schools. This can lead to increased levels of stress, anxiety, and depression among students. And I feel addressing mental issue is crucial for creating a supportive and effective learning environment. The last one, which I will be focusing on, is the public education underfunding. Because on one hand, private sector has a lot of high quality education, and whereas on public schools, they serve which serves the majority of students, have inefficient resources, overcrowded, and are usually have poor paid teachers. For example, just last month, the annual status of education report reported that only half of the students in class 5th can read a class 2 level book. And this indicates alarming learning deficiencies. This highlights that despite various government initiatives, that remains a significant gap in urban and rural education. This has also increasingly uh, engaged after the shift to online education during COVID-19, which has exposed to the digital divide, where millions of students lacking access to internet and services. So, with the coming Lok Sabha elections, it is crucial that we focus on practical and impactful measures to improve education for all. And there are many solutions for it, some of which are we can increase community engagement and support programs. For example, I found a program which was called School Management Committees, which comes under the Right to Education Act, that enhance accountability and support. Suppose in states like Gujarat, it has increasingly improved the school infrastructure and significantly reduced the drop rates. Regular workshops and community meetings can also foster collaboration and between schools and parents. Another one was Adopt a School program, which was in Telangana. It is a mentorship program which involves local professionals like local businessmen and people around from that school only that can provide guidance and career counseling to students. This is very effective, I think, as they can play a role of role models and support within the communities and from the local people. So the students who are studying now can get inspired that we can become like them. For the mental health, I think schools can employ qualified counselors because it is very important, and can conduct workshops on stress management and create a safe space for students to discuss their issues. And for the public and the private school divide, I feel that there is a very need for infrastructure development, because there is a need for significant investment in upgrading the school facilities, which is very essential. States should prioritize building modern classroom, labs, and libraries to ensure that all schools have basic amenities like clean water and sanitation facilities. Along with that, continuous professional development programs for teachers, such as the Diksha platform, is also very important because that can enhance the teaching quality. I think as the elections are coming, it is very crucial for the political leaders to prioritize these innovative solutions to transform India education. And by focusing on community engagement, mental health, and educate funding and all that, we can ensure a brighter future for every student in India. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Anushka. Next, you can go. Vaishnavi, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So first of all, good evening, everyone.
Let's talk about our topic. The ongoing Lok Sabha election in India will see nearly 970 million registered voters voting this year. Given that the median has age of 27, the demographic dividend, the opinions, the aspirations, the priorities of the young people, the young Indians assumes even more significance. Over 40% of Indian population is less than the 25 years of age. Thereby, education, skill development, and employment assumes priority during these electoral campaigns. India's education sector has a significant improvement in access. However, there has not been a commensurate improvement in quality. The divide between rich and poor has widened sharply in enrollment rates in secondary and higher secondary education. The dropout rates in secondary education is also continue to be high, especially in young girls. Shortage in teaching staff, inadequate in infrastructure, and basic sanitation continue to plague the sector. Moreover, India's expenditure on education as a percentage of GDP is around 3%, which is slightly lower than the countries like Bangladesh and Rwanda. All contesting parties have made education related promises a prominent part of their manifestos, while the Congress manifestos talk about education as a public good. The focus is largely on making education more affordable and accessible while ensuring quality. The BJP's manifesto is more inclined towards building a future ready education system. Redefining higher education is a common point between all of the parties, but the BJP's focus is more on establishing new national institutions, as well as they want to uh, upgrade the medical and engineering colleges. While Congress manifestos talk about reducing the dropouts by way of offering scholarships in higher education to marginalized groups. Both BJP and Congress party will continue to increase the respective day schools and residential schools. While initiative may promote increased enrollment, problems of quality will assist. The Congress manifesto has mentioned getting dedicated teachers for every subject and regularizing teacher appointment. This will be a challenging feast against limited resources, lack of professional development programs, and low incentivization for teachers. Moreover, poor infrastructure and absenteeism only to serve to increase the challenges faced by them. But this year election result will be far-reaching ramification for the large working age population. Investment in education, skill development, and employment generation need to be done wisely and equitably to ensure that this is demographic dividend result in optimum productivity and boost economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. And you did cover a lot of points and data and facts that I was also looking forward to listen to. Who is next now? Anushka, did you figure out your technical issues? Because I saw you on camera. Okay. Vamshi, can you switch on camera and start with your speech?
Hello, ma'am. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience. Due to raining, here there is no power.
No
Can I
worries.
get-
No worries. You can start your speech like this. That's okay.
As we prepared for the Lok Sabha elections of 2024, we must focus on one key issue: education. Education is not just a way to get a job. It is the foundation for our country's progress. The attention given to education is in this election will shape the future of millions of young Indians and our nation. Firstly, let's talk about how important education is in this election. This year, almost all major political parties have made education a priority in their manifestos. They know that a well-educated population is essential for economic growth and social stability. The debates and discussions we see in this election show that everyone understands the importance of education. Looking at the manifestos, we see that many parties are promising big changes. Like, for example, Congress, they have talked about due to widespread of unemployment, The government will cancel all student loan debts and interest due by March 15, 2024. And other parties are talking about changing school curriculum to focus more on skills that students need for jobs today, such as critical thinking and technology skills. During their speeches, many candidates have talked about education. They promise things like universal primary education, which means every child can go to school, and creating world-class universities in India. These promises shows that candidates know how important education is, but we need to make sure that they can actually keep these promises. Despite this positive talk about education, there are still many problems that need more attention. For example, the quality of education in government schools is often very poor. There is a big gap between the education in cities and in rural areas. In many rural areas, schools lack basic facilities and resources. Another big problem is that many teachers are not well trained. And another important issue is mental health of students. Many students feel a lot of pressure to do well in school, and we are worried about their future. This stress can lead to serious mental health problems. We need to do more support mental health of our students, including provide counseling services in schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshi. Next, we have Joytri. Is she in the call?
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Hi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. I really enjoyed everyone's speeches. It was very relevant and to the point, and they covered a lot of topics. I was almost worried I just sound like everyone else. So, I actually studied the Lok Sabha manifestos of not just BJP and Congress, but also CPIM and TMC, just to see what like more other parties are saying. And some key issues that I found highlighted in these parties are as follows. Congress talks about Congress has a lot of they have addressed a lot of issues that first of all they've issues a lot more issues they have addressed, and they have also addressed things that are unique and not been addressed by anyone else. This includes things like teachers, students being charged extra fees in private institutions for various purposes. So private and public. So they have talked about ending this practice of charging extra fees. They have also talked about, as mentioned by Vamshi, uh, like the canceling the loans that have been taken up till 15th March 2024. That was also another good point that I found. They have also talked about uh, online courses and making sure that people are more empowered and not stuck in the digital divide. And syllabuses will emphasize more on STEM subjects. This is one point that I saw in no other manifesto. They have paid attention to the fact that a lot of students are scared of science subjects, science and math subjects, because of a lack of good teaching equipments and teachers, which lead to overall students being more interested in commerce and arts versus science. So this was something like, this is like the important points of the Congress manifesto. TMC talks about increasing reservations. They also talk about something which is very required, that is allocating more GDP, increasing it to 5% of the India's GDP. This was only mentioned other than TMC by CPIM. And propaganda free curriculum. Then we have CPIM's the manifesto. In this, we see them talking about increasing the GDP allocation to 6%, as versus TMC, who talks about increasing it to 5%. They also talk about implementing the Right to Education Act to provide free and compulsory elementary education. Then regularizing teachers. This is another issue that has been making headlines the teachers are being employed on a contractual basis instead of being completely employed, and which leads them to not getting any benefits of being employed, but still having to work. And they also talk about enhancing public funding for higher education. BJP's manifesto talks about expanding skills training for youth, which is a very important topic, because being educated and being employable are two different things, unfortunately, and we need to bridge that gap. Using technology to access quality education. The BJP manifesto talks about e-vidya such as Swayam, Swayam Prabha, etc., like enhancing those further. I would also like to focus on the fact that this might or might not mean anything, but the page numbers in which education was mentioned by the following parties, CPIM, CPIM's education manifesto features education on the 36th page of their 44-page manifesto. Then there's TMC, their education was mentioned on the 39th page of their 104-page manifesto. Congress talks about education on the 12th page of their 47-page manifesto, and BJP talks about education in the 59th page of their 69-page manifesto. One topic that I specifically found very interesting and I feel like needs to be addressed is CPIM talking about the stopping the implementation of NEP, saying no to commercialization, communalization, and centralization of education. And I want to pursue the commodification of education through commercialization. Commodification of education implies that not only does the labor of those who are the products of the education system become a commodity, but also that education which goes into the production of this commodity becomes the commodity itself. Education as a commodity, in effect, doesn't remain the process, but rather becomes the final product. And this leads to a lot of issues. Overall, commercialization of education is one of the biggest issues faced by India, and the problems it poses include increased financial burden on students, obviously, like with increased inflation and everything. Even a lot of dual income families are opting out from going for a child or going for more than one child because it is so difficult to afford quality education for students. Then commodification has also killed the originality and creativity amongst those who receive it in order to deliver packaged learning. Our education system wants us to just mug up things and recreate it on the paper instead of telling us to think about things, making us not really preparing us to be leaders. Then compromise quality education. Obviously, I saw somewhere that the people who are investing in education are usually politicians and businessmen and not educators, people who are actually passionate about education, which obviously shows from the infrastructure not being good enough, from policies in the school not being good enough. Everything shows that it is more rendering to a business perspective than actually empowering and educating the youth. And this is a very important point that school education dissociates us from social sensitivity because of commercialization, because dissociation from any social sensitivity and failure to inculcate in minds of the young a sense of empathy and sympathy towards fellow human beings are some of the bleak realities associated with education's commodification. And academic values versus profit margin. One of the basic drivers of education is the notion of doing good for society. The purpose of education is the wholesome development of an individual. Not everything in the education sector goes by pure logic. Various aspects of education are driven by emotions and sentiments. Social well-being is the most important driving forces behind the education sector. And last but not the least, I would want to talk about like there was a point in the Manthan Policy Manthan message that if I was a leader, what would I want to change? I would really want to change the fact that politicians who are deciding so much about us for us and are in power to decide for us are not exactly educated. How will they be interested or knowledgeable about how to educate their youth when they themselves have not been as educated as it requires to make decisions to run a nation as big and diverse as India. So if I was a leader, I would want to bring about some changes about into this and make sure that educated people are the ones who are actually taking positions of power, so that whenever there is any decision making done for the country, it is actually done for the betterment of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jyotri. I really liked your insightful speech because you mentioned about commodification and commercialization of education and kind of deep dive into it. So I really like that portion as well.
Thank you.
Anushka, everything figured out now? We still can't hear you. You can use it without the earphones if you're able to. I think you're audible.
Yes. So am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience. So now I'll be starting with the speech. As India is obviously one of the world's largest democracy, and it is currently experiencing and celebrating its world's biggest exercise, which is currently going on in the country, that is Lok Sabha elections. And we all, as voters, see we are choosers, and we vote on the basis of different aspects, like considering the global status of the country, as well as the overall economic development on the basis of inflation, poverty, employment, etc., etc. Today, we will be narrowing down this discussion only to education, and it is not just other but equally important aspect of countries' well-being. It's a very crucial topic to talk upon because obviously a well-educated population is very much needed in the for the functioning of democratic society, as it also not just as it empowers citizens to make informed decisions, but also to participate actively in civic life and also contributing to a nation's progress. So it is very much important. Now, talking about just taking an overall view of what all political parties have in their manifestos about education, keeping education in mind, so we can extract some points which I was able to. So I will be discussing them. So firstly, access and quality, of course, ensuring that everybody gets education and gets equal access to quality education as well. Then budgetary allocation, which is equally important. Then prioritizing the sectors which needs most attention on, and then especially with the new education policy, the correct implementation of it, and also changing the implementation in a way that it is in context of the changing dynamics. So it should not be just forced upon, you should not be just forced to get it, but also it should be in a way that you should it should be in a dynamic way. And then linking the higher education with employment, and also digital education means bridging up the gap, of course, by with the help of infrastructure and providing tools so that there is less of population which cannot have access to it. Now, considering parties, for example, BJP, it has been into power since last 10 years now, and talking about their manifestation, their manifestos, we can see that in their manifesto they have promised that they will be increasing the public spending, particularly on the basis of education, by 6% of GDP from something about 4%, which was earlier. Now, they also said that if they come to power again, they will set up a national commission for education, which will be revised on the basis of making India a knowledge hub rather than just adopting it. Then they will conduct performance review for flagship programs such as Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, which was initiated by them. And also they considered universalizing the secondary education, which is another equal aspect. Then the opposition, Congress, if we talk about Congress, so in their manifesto they had this amendment, that they had this clause that they will be making amendments in Right to Education Act, which was initiated by them only in the year 2019. So they said that they will be, Congress said that they will be changing that class criteria. Earlier it was from first to sixth class only, but now they were saying that they will be considering first to 12th class in public school, and it will be made compulsory in all public schools. And also they will be increasing the number of Kendra Vidyalayas and focusing on foundational learning. Also, there is a major problem of dropout among girls, which can be due to various socio-economic reasons. So Congress was also focused on that. I mean, due by with the help of their manifesto. I don't know how much they are in real, but in the manifesto, also they will be ensuring that state government, with the help of state government and with they will be regulating the committees which help in gaining these rights. Now, since BJP has been in power since last 10 years, we can see that they have worked towards education, not that much, though the target in 2022 was that they will be providing skill training to 500 million people. But till now we can see that only with the help of data they were able to uh, restrict that only to 400 something. Then also Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme was initiated by them only in 2014, which is now doing very good, which is now, yes, it is doing good. And if we see the stats, and now considering the suggestions, there is a need for inclusive growth, we all know that, but it can only be done when integratedly every institution comes together to achieve those goals. For example, we need investment in education sector and vocational training that aligns with the needs of industries and helps in job creation for youth. And also to meet the current demand of market, there must be collaboration between academic institutions as well as uh, industries. For example, there should be provision of more internship programs that bridges the gap between the theory and practice, and that provides hand-on and training on what market actually needs now, not on what was needed. Then obviously proper resource management, budgetary allocation is very much necessary. Then a major problem which I feel is still is still existing is paper leak issue, which many states still experience it. So I would like government uh, associatives to be very particular about it, to make strict laws for it, so that this doesn't happen again, because that really impacts the education system a lot. And I also feel that there is a strong need for the caste-based reservation system to get restructured now. It should be given to the people who are actually in need of it, or who actually want it, but rather than not on the basis of caste. So it's a very strong need at the moment. It's a need of time that we should really restructure it and give to the ones who are in need of it. And also a strong competition, as mentioned by Arshia. I remember she mentioned this point that competition is very much necessary. Like a cutthroat competition has to be given by the opposition also, so that the present government encourages themselves to do work in a way that they should remain in power, or people do not opt them out. So for good governance, it is very much necessary that there is a good competition also. And also again, doing including all these factors, keeping in mind the sustainability development goals, like leaving no one behind. So as they say, you should never just focus on quantity but quality also. So I rest my speech here.
Thank you, Anushka. Next, we have Arjun. Over to you.
Good evening. As India approaches the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment for our nation's education system. Education is not merely a sector, it is the cornerstone of societal progress and individual empowerment. Yet it often takes a backseat in political discourse, overshadowed by more immediate headline grabbing issues. Today, I want to discuss one area in this domain that I find needs more of our attention, that is, the use of technology in enhancing access and quality of education. PM e-Vidya, a scheme started on 31st May 2020, finds a special mention in the ruling party's election manifesto this year. They have laid out a plan to further its implementation and to expand its reach. Now, talking about this initiative, it is a personalized learning system through technology, through the use of technology that unifies all efforts related to digital, online, on-air education to enable multimode access to education. This, according to them, has benefited nearly 25 crore school-going children across the country. Under this initiative, Swayam, an online platform, was also introduced that facilitated hosting of all courses taught in classrooms from class 9 till post graduation to be accessed by anyone, anywhere, at any time. All the courses are interactive, prepared by the best teachers in the country, and are available free of cost to any learner. About 90,000 students have already enrolled in this facility as of May 2020. The courses hosted on Swayam are in four quadrants. Number one, video lectures. Two, specially prepared reading materials that can be downloaded and printed. Number three, self-assessment tests through tests and quiz. And four, an online discussion forum for clearing the doubts. Steps have been taken to enrich this learning experience by also using audio, video, and multimedia and the state-of-art pedagogy. Similarly, Swayam Prabha, a group of DTH channels devoted to telecasting quality educational programs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and introduced as a complementary measure. This was introduced as a complementary measure to Swayam. And Swayam Prabha hosts new content daily for at least 4 hours. They are repeated 5 more times a day, allowing students to choose the time of their convenience. The channels are uplinked by the Bhaskaracharya Institute of Space Applications and Geoinformatics, located in Gandhinagar. The contents are provided by educational institutions such as IITs, UGCs, CEC, IGNO, and NCRT. Another portal called as Diksha, or digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing, is also a mobile app that was created by MHRD as a storehouse of a large number of ebooks and e-contents um, created by state and union territory governments and national organizations. This was introduced as an easy access for easy access of books and educational content materials for socioeconomically weaker children. Now, these are all the initiatives that are already in place. But my suggestion now would include imagining an integrated digital platform that not only offers courses but adapts to each student's learning pace and style. And for this, we have to make use of AI and machine learning uh, for this platform so that they can create customized learning pathways tailored to each student's unique needs. Now, I am a student from humanities background, so talking about AI and machine learning would not be sufficient for me without involving the expertise of a child from a computer science background. So I'm just, for example, giving an example. The system can function as follows. As students interact with the platform, the AI can analyze the performance, identifying strengths and weaknesses, and adjust the content accordingly. For instance, if a student excels in mathematics but struggles with reading comprehension, the platform will offer more challenging math problems while providing additional resources and support for reading. This personal approach can ensure that no student is left behind and everyone can progress on their own pace. Additionally, a platform can also include this platform can also include interactive sessions and virtual classrooms, peer collaboration tools, and gamified. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, sorry. Additionally, the platform can include interactive elements like virtual classrooms, peer collaboration tools, and gamified learning experiences to keep students engaged and motivated. By providing a personalized, adaptive, and engaging learning experience, we can bridge the educational divide, empowering every student to thrive and reach their full potential. This innovation is particularly transformative for students in remote areas Often, these students lack access to quality teachers and resources, creating a significant gap between urban and rural education standards. With this digital platform, every student, no matter where they are, can access high quality education tailored to their needs. The platform can also facilitate real time feedback and support for educators, ensuring students achieve the guidance they need to succeed. This was my suggestion. I am open to your questions as well. So, thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Arjun. Next, we have Manya.
Hi everyone, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Manya. So, this is a very interesting topic of issues related to education in the Lok Sabha election 2024 because if you're a normal, you don't even need to look into the manifesto. If you're a normal person who just go through news channels, or even if you are a person who just scroll Instagram reels, it is very rare to see anything related to education which is being talked about as a major issue, uh, which is seen as a major part of the election manifesto. I think it's a very complex and big issue, and it needs to be looked into a very uh, in very in the it needs to be looked into very in detail on how it affects different sectors of the society in different ways. But here the contrast happens because while the term education is a buzzword during election among the normal public, among the people who are going to vote, unfortunately, it is not one of the buzzwords that will be included in the that is seen in the election manifesto or in the rallies when it is talked about, unlike health, employment, and infrastructure. So this actually this is actually something that needs to be paid attention to, because this shows that how what is delivered or what is being talked about education by the whether it is the ruling party or the opposition or even at the international level is different, or at least is not catering to everybody's needs on or everybody's demands. Like right now, the buzzword in all the elections and election manifesto, and even among normal youth, is AI, artificial intelligence, on how education needs to be in, like it needs to cater to our future needs. How are we going to build up an education system which is going to keep us checked with the future, especially with the growing use of artificial intelligence. Yes, it is important that because with the evolving uh, world, there is a need to evolve the education system as well. But I think there is so much stress on the future of education that there is somewhere that there is no attention to the past and the present in the education system. For example, if you will how we when we talked about AI and bringing these technical skills and making these job getting courses part of our education system, we totally ignored that this might be a privilege, that if this is what is your next this is a problem for you. If you are looking at uh, AI might taking your job as a problem, I know it might sound like, no, I'm not privileged enough, but it is a privilege of thinking of AI as the job taking thing. Because first of all, privilege is a very relative concept. You might not be privileged in comparison to others, but you might be privileged in comparison to many. Right now, while your concern is AI taking away your jobs, there are a lot of people who don't even have access to phones and laptops where they can even access artificial intelligence. They don't use chat GPT as much as most of us are using in our everyday life. It is not like that for them. For example, like I think it's a very diverse topic, so I'll try to narrow it down. For example, I am a master's student. Even the college that I'm doing my master's degree from, we all of us are getting our assignments. Mostly we submit it online and all. We have cyber libraries as well, but they also have limited number of computers. But there are so many students who are not privileged enough, who can access so that they can access phones or laptops. So they have no, even if they have, like, they do have, some of them do have phones. So either they rely on a friend who will provide them with these digital setups, or they will make their assignments on their phones. The thing is, there is so much stress. There's so much, like, the government and even all of us look at education or any issue in such a homogenized way. We think that it's a one for all, we take a very one for all solution approach, but it should not be like this. The thing is, there's a term called intersectionality. It basically means that how your social location, your religion, the place you come from, the language you speak actually might affect you differently. Like, an issue may affect you differently if you come from a very different social location, a reason, or you speak a different language. And that's the problem, that it is not even part of the popular conversation. Like, forget the manifestos. It is not even part of the popular normal conversation among youth, that how it is, the issues related to education is not a homogeneous issue. It's not a one for all solution. It's not a very uh, one one problem. It's not a one problem. It's a very complex and a very context based issue, which needs to be discussed very minutely, and should be taken, instead of taking a very general approach, it should be seen that on a very community level. So yeah, there is a lot I can speak, but I think I'll just keep it short and this much only. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Manu, for bringing different perspectives to this. Then I think Gunjan is a new. Gunjan, do you have anything prepared, or because she joined today only, I think, right?
I don't have much to. I don't have any, much, like, a long script to be that I prepared. But after hearing all of your speeches and like all the content which you all prepared, like, they were all interesting. So I would like to present my personal views for this topic. Like, personally, what I believe that for education, the most important, the three criteria which are the most important at the thrust of the whole education system could be the affordability, availability, and accessibility of the educational institutions. Like, not just the availability of the education system, but also the accessibility. Like, for example, if in a village, one school or some any educational institution is built up, and which is like 20 or 15 kilometers far away from the village, so it may be possible that a lot of people are not engaged, or not not willing to go to that school. And especially for in case of girls, parents might not encourage the education of their daughter, just because the distance is a long way. So I believe that availability, accessibility, and also affordability, these three parameters are the most important for any education system. So policies and principles must be prepared according to that, keeping in mind it has the basic trust. Then also the digital literacy. This has been started recently, especially after the pandemic of the COVID-19. That digital education and digital literacy is having more importance these days. But also, it should be kept in mind the poverty of the nation. Like, most of us, or most of the citizens of our country does not own a mobile phone or internet connection or laptop and such facilities. So digital education should be implemented only after the poverty line has been increased, or most of the people are at least above the poverty line. Like, most of the people should at least afford that facility for that thing to be started. Then also, what I believe is inclusive education is important, especially for the children with disability. Like, what I believe is, it is not the child that is disabled, but it is the system or the facilities or the opportunities that is being granted to them is disabled. Like, for example, if you talk about the infrastructure of the schools, for example, if there is a student who is physically disabled, that means he or she can attain education, but the only thing stopping him or her from being educated is the way to the school, and also the infrastructure of the school. It may be possible that the doors are not wide enough for the wheelchair to be entered, or it may be possible that there is no functional lift, I may say, or there may be some other parameters that are not supporting the education of that child. Okay, so it is possible that the child is willing to study and is able to study, but due to the parameters, due to the infrastructure, or due to the lack of opportunities, lack of facilities, I may say, he or she is not able to not able to take the education. So these things are what I believe are important. Obviously, quality of education and all those things which you all mentioned are important. Also, the manifesto which you people mentioned was, I believe that it is not just the manifesto that decides whether the party will do whatever they wrote about it, because it has happened that they promise to do a lot of things, but do they actually do it? Like we have seen the previous parties, they promised to do a lot of things. They mentioned in their manifesto during their campaigns and rallies, कि हम ये करेंगे. We promise to provide so and so facilities, but do they actually do? So I believe that manifesto is not the only criteria to like trust any political party, but we should also consider their history, how they performed in earlier days. So these things are important. So yeah, this is what I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Gunjan. Next we have Saranya.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
My name is Saranya. I'm excited to join and share my views on the theme. Speaking in terms of national level parties, their manifestos, which are addressed regarding education, both parties have decided to improve education, but have their own different approaches for that. Coming to Congress, they are focused on giving education for free, which is a great initiative, and it is giving a thought of treating everyone equally, and also improving foundational learning and restoring autonomy to educational institutions they have addressed. And they also mentioned writing of educational loans. People who didn't find a job after completing their graduation and abroad, they will be getting and benefited. And BJP, they emphasize to modernize education through NEP and expanding digital learning and integrating skill development with industry needs. And coming to my view, and I feel like learning basic skills and making fun to learn things. I mean, the joy of it should come while learning. These are majorly missing in our education. And if I were in the position, I'll ensure quality education by updating curriculum and also innovative teaching methods to engage students by fostering a love for learning and also providing adequate support. Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, Saranya, you are.
Okay. So providing adequate support to teachers and upskilling them is also important to make sure they have the job satisfaction is really important. And coming to in our state, Andhra Pradesh, both parties have they have their own freebies to for everything, like providing free tabs, free phones to get connected with to have the digital learning. Um, and the TDP and JSP in our state, they have introduced they have added this in their manifesto that they will review the curriculum of um, the syllabus from KG to PG, and they also addressed a very main point that they will also I mean they will also look at those schools who which has less dropout, I mean more dropouts, and get and those schools who will be prioritized, and they have introduced Dr. Ambedkar Videshi Vidya for their to support for international students, and they also mentioned that free goods. Both parties have mentioned, and in
Saranya,
in
your
closing, I
voice.
want to align. Yeah, I want to close just a point. So I think I want to align our policies with national goals and promote lifelong learning to empower individuals and drive our nation's development. I truly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today. Thank you.
Yes, Saranya. Sorry, I think we have just 10 minutes left for this meeting. That is why. Then Namrita and then Mansi can go ahead, but keep your speeches short due to time constraints. So sorry about this.
Ma'am, let Mansi finish, then I'll do it.
Okay, go ahead, Mansi. You're on mute. Sorry, Mansi. Sorry.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. So, as we know, the Lok Sabha election 2024 is going on. So, in this election, also there are many students who have their first voting system. So, with that voting point, they also have some expectations with with this new government. So, one of the expectation I would like to highlight here, it is by the class 12 student that the government should manages to fix the paper leak problem faced by the education system, and there should be the credibility in the education system, and government must ensure fairness. So as we know that this unfair means of practices is going on in during examination process, and not only it is affecting the government decision, but also it is affecting the people who are actually giving their hard work towards the examination, towards their competitive studies. But still, all this unfair means is creating a problem for everyone. So, on this note, I would like to highlight a critical issue that has been bothering our education system, and by extension, the future of our youth, that is the risk of unfair means in public examination. And recently, the Lok Sabha took a significant step to this problem by passing the public policy, the Public Examination, the Prevention of Unfair Means Bill 2024. So I would like to highlight this bill's propaganda in this meeting. So this legislation is a testament to our collective commitment to safeguarding the integrity of our examination system, which forms the backbone of a merit-based society. It has been recognized that this matter surpasses political boundaries and speaks directly to the aspirations and well-being of our children and youth. So our Union Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, he emphasized that this bill aims to curb corrupt practices that have jeopardized the future of our young citizens. We have all witnessed incidents where paper leaks, impersonation, and other malpractices have derailed the careers and dreams of deserving students. So these unethical actions not only compromise the fairness of our examination, but also devastating the personal consequences, sometimes leading to the fatal outcomes also. So the bill specifically targets the organized malpractices in recruitment examination like UPSC, SSC, NEET, JEE, QET by instituting strict penalties, including imprisonment for 3 to 10 years and the large amount of fines. The legislation aims to dismantle the network that perpetuate these unfair practices. So he also highlighted several recent incidents underlying the urgency of this legislation. For example, Rajasthan reported 12 cases of exam malpractices since 2018. In West Bengal, there are multiple leaks of the diploma in elementary education paper in 2022 and 2023. So these are just few examples of the widespread issue that this bill seeks to address comprehensively. Moreover, the bill introduces a surveillance committee and use of technological solution to prevent and detect cheating. This proactive approach ensures that our examination system remains robust and transparent. The Modi government has consistently prioritized the youth-centric policies and initiatives over the past decade. By ensuring transparency and providing equal opportunities, the government has tried to create a level playing field in recruitments and higher education. Since Prime Minister Modi's tenure began in 2014, significant reforms have been implemented, such as the abolition of the attestation of documents by gazetted officers and interviews in government recruitment processes. These measures were designed to eliminate favorism and corruption, further supporting the meritocratic beliefs of our nation. It is also worth noting that examinations are now conducted in multiple religion languages, making them accessible to a broader segment of our population. This inclusive approach ensures that language barriers do not hinder the opportunities available to our youth. In conclusion, this public examination bill 2024 is more than just a piece of legislation, but it is a promise to our youth that their hard work and dedication will be recognized and rewarded fairly. So it is a step towards building a society where merit is the sole criteria for its success, ensuring that our young generation can confidently pursue their dreams without fear of systematic corruption. So I know most of us has highlighted the points where the there should be a change in the education and it should be highlighted in the policy also. But I here highlighted the point which has come up in the Lok Sabha election, and finally they have taken some step towards this unfair means of practice. Thank you.
Thanks, Mansi. Namrata, over to you. Yeah, just 2 minutes now.
Thank you, ma'am. Due to time constraint, I'll keep it very short. I would like to speak about NEP, which was implemented in 2020 during COVID, but NEP in Karnataka government especially, because when it was implemented, Karnataka government had BJP as their ruling party, but now like from the like the normal elections, the CM has changed and the party also got changed. The Congress party, and since Congress party has come into ruling, they have like Bangalore University had to face a lot of issues. Their exams got postponed. There were like who all opted for NEP, like NEP was for like normal undergrad degrees, which was supposed to be for 3 years. It happened for 4 years, and who all opted for that, the 4 years thing, colleges were not able to give them proper infrastructure, proper facility. Like there was no expert faculty to handle the situation. Because of that, Congress ruling party stopped implementing NEP, and students faced a lot of issues. Exams got postponed. Like the students were not able to have like proper education in the name of degrees, and then now they are planning to get like the state education policy, which they have not told anything. There's no draft about it. They have just spoken that about it in the speech, and I feel Congress government took up this decision because uh, because of the BJP, because most of the students in Bangalore are happy, like in Karnataka, are happy with NEP because it will help them in their future in their masters and PhD. But due to this politics and due to the clashes between the parties, I feel they are taking up this step to like because of the clash between the parties. Otherwise, I did a small survey just a second. Very sorry for the inconvenience. Due to the national, I mean, like NEP, the Congress government has now stopped the 4-year degrees, and according to the small survey which I did in my college, most of the students were happy with it. Most of the teachers were happy with it, but due to the clash between the parties and just with their like manifestos and policies, I feel they took up this step, and I feel that's a issue because of the Lok Sabha election. And a solution would be to again implement NEP in Karnataka because most of the students are happy with the decision and were beneficial for it. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Namrata. And I know that the session kind of overspilled, but I'm really happy to hear all of your points and all of the views that you all presented today. You did a lot research from your end, and you were able to, I think everyone covered most of the important data of the political parties, or related to NEP, or related to some concepts like commodification of education and commercialization. I just want to add to all of this just one point, that I feel that all the political parties, through any agenda, be it health, education, infrastructure, there is a kind of narrative that they want to push it towards using that. So even for education, it's a means for them, a means to achieve an end, that is maybe to come into power, maybe obviously to come into power and be at the central or the state government. And when we see each of the political parties' manifesto related to education or their laws related to education, we'll see that there are glimpses of the education laws related to their own ideologies and related to how they can actually use it, since we're talking about education over here, use education as a means towards reaching their own ends. So in this highly complicated political, economic, social scenario, we have to accept the fact that each political party does have a vested interest behind them, and you do use these agendas as a narrative. And we can only expect or hope that out of all this vested interest, there are some residuals, coming out of this and in some way benefiting us. However, I think over here, the big picture is that the civil society or organizations like us who are working upon this and at an individual or collective level to actually not only just opposing parties, but civil society as a structure should be strong to challenge what the government is doing, or to challenge even the political parties that are running elections, even if it's an opposition party, right? We want the opposition party to actually challenge the government, but if we feel that even the opposition party is not doing that, the civil society should come into picture, right? So think from these lines, through education is also a means of they are politicizing education also, right, in the curriculum and everything. So think on those lines, and all I can say, if in the future you want to get into the public policy space, keep in mind that we are here to actually push for policies and for benefit of all, because education, as the Congress party is saying, is a public good. But in reality, we know we haven't achieved that reality yet. It's only on paper. But if we really want education to be a public good, it's utmost important that we create a strong civil society at one point, right? So yeah, that is the concluding remarks from me. But thank you everyone for joining, and I really enjoyed today's session and looking forward to more such policy manthans. All right, then everyone go have dinner.
Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.